Tuesday's special election results presented a great night for Republicans. They won 2 House seats, one in Wisconsin and in California. In Wisconsin, Republican State Senator Tom Tiffany beat out Democrat Tricia Zunker. And over in California, Republicans also won the open House seat with Mike Garcia, winning over Democrat Christy Smith. Now, Sean, these both seem like really big wins, are they?
Well, I think there's a big difference. The Wisconsin seat was a hold for the Republicans. Sean Duffy had resigned from Congress to deal with some family matters. So them holding a district that was Republican, that had been trending Republican, is not that big of a deal. It's obviously a good thing. But the California one was a little bit different.
What was the difference?
Well, look, the California one was a flip. It was the first time in a long time that Republicans in California had taken a blue seat held by a Democrat and flipped it over. This was a seat that has a 30,000 vote registration for the Democrats, a district that Hillary Clinton carried by 7%. So the idea that it got flipped over was a big deal. And let's be blunt. If Garcia hadn't won that race, the media would have been talking about how this was a referendum on Trump, and even though they held a district that they should have held by 7 points, that somehow this was going to be a big problem for Trump in November. Nothing could be the same, quite the same. This was a big win because the Republicans had an opportunity to test their ground game, to test the data on the folks, and because they shifted to all mail, this was really a chance to see how their mail program worked, to get out the vote, to get people to return votes. This was a good effort. The Republican National Committee, Team Trump, the NRCC, which oversees the House races, deserve a lot of credit for overcoming the odds. But all that being said, I wouldn't read too much into it. You're going to have a bigger electorate in November. It's a much different effort to go in. But it shows that the system works. What they've been practicing can work big time in November if they extrapolate it in the battleground states.
You know, a lot of media reporting on this and what it means for November. But does one district actually make that big of a difference?
No, I mean, it's a good way to test the system, as I was just saying. So we know that their ground game is at the top of their is at the top. We know that the data is strong, and we know that being able to shift to mail, which is where a lot of things are going, is definitely at their thing. They beat Democrats in a district that the Democrats should have not only held that seat, but should have held it because they had a 7-point registration. I mean, a 7-point advantage from when Hillary had carried that district before. So to flip this district really shows that the back end of what they're doing works. So if they can go into Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan, that portends well for them. And so they've got to take what they learned there and extrapolate that into those battleground states. So it's a big win. Don't get me wrong. It's huge that they took a seat from them. And it's great that they kept the one in Wisconsin. But don't get too cocky about this now. Make sure that we keep our eye on the prize for November. But good on them for making sure that everything that they invested in terms of the ground game and the data and an effective mail program worked perfectly.
I want to ask you about something else before we go. Time reporter asked Jared Kushner about if the general election could be moved. A lot of people have been talking about this. You tweeted about it. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, they're acting as though it's Jared's fault. The reporter asked him what will happen if the election gets moved. The election is set by our Constitution. And so instead of blaming Jared, I think the focus should be on the reporter for asking a dumb question. Everybody knows that I sure hope that people understand that the Constitution sets the date for our federal elections. So the idea that, he kind of was trying to answer the question that was put before him. But the idea that a White House reporter is asking what should happen if the election gets moved is bad on the reporter, not bad on the person that gets asked the question.
Well, I think a lot of people, and obviously this reporter should have known, but a lot of people are confused when you see these primaries getting moved.
Yeah, there's a difference because primaries are controlled by the party in the state. The general election, our federal election, is enshrined in our Constitution. Yeah. And that's the big difference there.
Well, it's good to make that distinction and clear it up for some of these people.
Oh, I know. And I don't think it'll be the last time we see that happen.
Well, great insight. We'll stick around. Coming back, we have music legend Larry Gatlin. You don't want to miss him. Stick with us.